We have a couple of veterans here that's going to lead us into pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys.
Now, I think these two veterans have something that they would like to present to our commission. So I'll turn it over to you all before we go into session.
This is our payback. Charles, want to come down? Now, I couldn't buy 3 this year, so I only got 1, but it costs more, that's all.
You got the right number also.
Okay. But this year, we got it in a special recognition award for you guys, and we appreciate your, helping us all the time. And that's from the Vietnam veterans and the military work so far.
And just for information in the audience, how many veterans we got? Would you want to stand up? We got any others?
Okay, man. 3, 2, 1. Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Could I take one more moment? Judy?
One more second here.
Oh, no, you don't have to do nothing.
Yeah, well, every year you do a lot of the talking for us and things, so
Nothing like this.
we got one for you. It's small, but.
Now, he ordered this.
Okay.
I got a big one myself.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
3, 2, 1. Thanks.
You don't want to outdo the bosses, so. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And be sure to come back and see us again.
Oh, well. No
That's
doubt.
priming you up. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
This session of the Lincoln County Commission on April the 5th, 2012 at 6 p.m. is now called to order. Members present is Merle Q. Clark, Charles McCann, President, Charles Vance, Commissioner, Thomas Ramey, Jr., Commissioner. First thing on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session of the Lincoln County Commission meeting that was held on March the 15th, 2012 at 10 a.m.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Being all yes votes, motion carries.
Next thing on the agenda is, we've got an item back on there, page 4. We've got Tracy Dempsey back here. He's got a scheduling conflict, and he wanted to know if he could go first. And Tracy, you wanted to talk to the commissioners?
Yes, well, thank you for letting me, because I do have another place I've got to go. What I have is a request that we've talked about it for several months, and one of the reasons that we haven't did it a little sooner was the internet service at McCorkle Elementary School, McCorkle Community Building. We want to have county government at McCorkle. We tried it back a year or so ago out of Alum Creek, and we didn't get a lot of people use the service out of Alum Creek. And maybe might be some of our reasons that we didn't put it in the paper enough or something, but it didn't really get going real well. So we were trying to go with maybe McCorkle, thinking that may be a better place or location for those people out there maybe to go to. Because what we found out, maybe a lot of people that live in the Alum Creek area may go to Charleston to do their business, and they may get get their license and do that kind of thing out there at the DMV in Charleston. So, but this request is to ask permission to start county government for 1 day a month at McCorkle for county government. We've also been doing it at Harts now for a couple of years now. That's because, from what I understand, it's not going to cost the county commission any money. The county, the internet service has to be there, I think, anyway for early voting. So it's not anything that you'll have to pay to have this done, just we have employees to go out there once a month.
What kind of services will they be provided?
They can do everything that we do here at the courthouse. They can actually fill out their concealed weapon permit, they can get their license, they can pay their taxes, they can do all those things that they can do in a sheriff's office or my office.
And we'll have to coordinate this with the,
On the day, we'll get with the sheriff and see what's a good day for him, and we'll pick a day.
and maybe with Lawrence, them at the community board.
Yes.
Make sure that they get on.
Yeah.
But sounds like a good deal.
Well, as we all know, the people of Hearts just love it.
They do.
I mean, they really utilize it. It's been a real good service for them, and I think if the people would use it, would start to use it over there, they'd see the same thing.
Yeah.
Travel a lot less, save yourself some.
Well, now
gas.
that gas prices is $4 a gallon, I think a lot of people would take advantage of getting their license and paying their taxes.
So if it works out well, we may do it more than one day a month.
We want to start it one day a month, and hopefully we'll end up doing it 2-3 days a month.
How you gonna decide what day you're gonna do that? I know you got to schedule with.
I would hope that me and the sheriff can sit down together and find a day that it's convenient for him.
And would you all have an idea, maybe the sheriff, the assessor, at some point, what day of week you think might be best out there?
Be great, yeah, because we need to know, we got, what days you may have things planned that we may not need to be there that day or something.
You know, I think that last time the problem was the fact that people just didn't realize it was awkward at the library.
We had it at the library and we did for a year out there, and not a lot of people took advantage of it.
We never did.
Yeah.
See, I think that partnering with the board that we have in place, the Lions Club, and other groups in that area to make sure that people know about it, and maybe even use the electronic sign that we have.
Okay. That would be something good to do too, yeah.
May I
So
ask
we'll-
a question?
Yes.
Is this going to be a computer hookup directly to the courthouse? Or is it going to be for somebody to go out there and use a high-speed?
No, we'll have internet, we'll have our, Judy's that right, internet service will be there for the,
Hook up towards the courthouse.
Toward the
not for
courthouse.
Is this going to be directly to the courthouse?
directly to the courthouse, is what I understand.
Okay. Because I know a lot of people now use the Allen Creek Library, and that's the internet for anything, high-speed.
But this will be directly to the courthouse. And when they get on the laptop, it'll be the same thing the girls has in these
Okay.
offices.
I know maybe the last meeting, we purchased new computers for the Hearts Community Center for the Government Day. Will those same computers be used?
Yes. We got 2 laptops, so the girls don't have to do all. One of the things that we had in the past was that we had to secure the computers. We had to put them in cabinets and lock them up because we don't even have access to any of our computers. But now with the laptops, the girls can take those with them and take them back when they leave. It saves them a lot of work trying to take everything down and put it up and everything.
I can tell you, we have somebody from McCorkle here, Brandon Bentley, and Brandon can tell the group, this crowd, that I believe from Hearts having the community center in place and Government Day, people there reading the newspaper that people in Hearts take advantage of it, people that really want it at McCorkle, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think it'd be good for all those people out there, not just McCorkle. I just think any surrounding areas will
Yes.
really take advantage of it.
Elderly too.
Yeah. I think it's one of the things that we hear a lot is it's one of the things that people really thinks that it's well worth what it being there, because it just saves them a lot of time and money,
Yeah.
especially with gas prices. That's the big thing.
That's one of our responsibilities, provide service.
Yes, sir. And we appreciate it.
You might could, I don't know that you could or not, but, if half the employees went in over there, they need places for, to sell the stickers and stuff like that, so they
That would be,
might be able to.
yeah, that would be another good thing.
That way they could take care of it all at one place.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go ahead to page 4, there's an item at the bottom of the page to endorse this proposal. So we have a motion,
So moved.
I'll say.
we have a motion and a second to approve the schedule for Government Day at McCorkle. All yes votes, motion carries.
Okay, let me ask one quick question. We're gonna have internet service at the community center. Will that be available to members of the community that may come in and want to use their laptop?
Right now, what I have scheduled Sudden Link to hook up internet service in the Crime Watch room, because that is the most secured room over there for the early voting. I know that someone may bring up later that we're going to have install security cameras there as well. If it's the commission's wish at a later date or something, to put it out maybe into the cafeteria or something for the public, then we may can do that. But right now, my only request that I gave to Suddenlink was to hook up in the Crime Watch. But, you know, I was thinking we might could get a modem and have wireless internet.
Probably that community board would decide if we're gonna have a handicap or how we want to do it.
I think we have a question for them.
Actually, we have been working on trying to get a computer lab installed in a little office in the cafeteria to where we have a GED class there every Thursday night. They could utilize the internet to do some of their research, as well as some of the children in the community could come down and do their schoolwork that don't have access to a computer at home. So we think that would be a big benefit to the community there.
Well, maybe Judy can get with them, see what the possibilities are.
Yeah, because they were supposed to contact Lawrence. I talked to the gentleman at the beginning of the week, and I thought he said they were going to stop it tomorrow, but they would call Lawrence so that he could be there to open the room. What I'll do is maybe see if they can do 2 drops, one in your all's office and one in the Crime Watch. And then,
It'd be great if there could be a Wi-Fi hotspot in that area.
Wow.
Okay, appreciate it.
next thing on the agenda, we received a letter from the Allen Creek Lions Club for a request for a donation, and it was from Doris Sharp, so Doris may want to talk about it. Want to talk about the letter?
It needs $1,200, right?
Yes, this is mainly the thing that the guys talk about. From what I understand, they have picked out a commercial lawnmower, one of these with the 2 arms on them, and it's what, $10,000?
Yeah.
And Josh Stowers has secured $8,000 loan, or grant, to help pay for it. And then we had a, what's it called?
Anonymous donor.
I had to think a moment there. Anonymous donor that donated several $100s for it, and the balance they need to get the $10,000 is $1,200. So that's why Jim wrote up that letter, and I signed it to request that $1,200 for that.
Okay, normally we've been trying to keep everything to 1,000, but I would entertain a motion to award the $1,200.
Okay, thank you very much.
A motion second, all yes, the motion carries. We appreciate the work that all the volunteers got, particularly Lions Club.
Now, they go out there and they had, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them out there Monday because the park officially opened for the summer. They went out and they cleaned up on the side of the road.
We did the Jaeger Monument area back toward the school, and then from the library on down to around where the car wash is at. We had, I think it was 10 people. We picked up 27 bags, 1 big tire out of the creek. We had to pull it out with a truck. And I don't know what they did with it. I never did find out. I think some guy loaded it in his truck and took it somewhere, but I weighed it all when I got home, and it was 275 pounds, and I'm in the process of separating it all. So,
Well, yesterday evening I came back from Southridge, and didn't know if y'all been clean, but my wife and I, we did notice how everything looks clean there, from the monument all the way through it, it's really looked good, so.
Now, next Saturday is the community cleanup. This is the Make Us Shine that is off the highway for the state cleanup this last week. The one on next Saturday, the 14th, is the community cleanup. And they advertise in the paper, Sean's had it in the paper. And they go out there and they go to Jim Ryan's barbershop, and they'll get some bags and they'll get a ticket. And Jim will tell them where to go nicely and to pick up, and something like 30 or 40
about 35 miles
that they pick up. And when they get through, if they'll bring their ticket to the Lions Club, we'll give them a hot dog and a Coke for appreciation for doing it. So, and they usually have a tremendous turnout for that community cleanup. They do, I think we do that twice a year. But we're keeping it clean out there.
Well, the community definitely is a bunch of people who work and take pride in it.
It's better now than it has when we moved there 20 years ago.
The Sharp Mountain was definitely nice.
Yeah, well,
That's what I call it.
we're gonna see about renaming it from Soft Mountain to Sharp Mountain.
You need
Mr.
something?
Can, yes, I have the, that grant paperwork and stuff, would it be, she would probably be the one I need to, okay. This is the paperwork for the mower that you need to.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Now, what you need to do, Doris, make sure you all, the Lions Club fills that out. Put the matching funds as $1,200 from the county commission, and you need to bring that back into the commission as soon as possible so that we can approve that here and send it on to Charleston prior to June the 30th.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you very much.
Thank you all.
The next thing on the agenda is a Left Fork Community Wastewater Management. Is anyone here? Rick, do you want to speak on? Oh, you're gonna speak?
I'll speak on it.
Okay.
The Left Fork Maintenance Association is a community-centered nonprofit organization that services and maintains the septic systems out there. And they started, around maybe 2 years ago, and they've been providing services for about 1.5 years now. And, they basically make it affordable for these people to, have and maintain these septic systems. We work with the low-income communities, so it's hard. I mean, they wouldn't be able to afford, inspections and problems that arise out of the systems without the assistance of the Maintenance Association. We deal at, it does like a 70-30 split. The Maintenance Association takes care of 70% of the problem or of the costs, and then the community owner, the homeowner, will pay 30%. And we're just, in order for the Maintenance Association to keep working properly, it just needs as much assistance as it can get, because it doesn't get much. So
Money's the key to everything.
yeah.
I forgot, trying to think here, on the wastewater projects, have we put any money from those projects into the maintenance?
They will not allow us to.
And what about any from the coal company?
That money, what was left, did go into that. That was the sort of starter.
Okay, that's what I was trying to think.
Yeah, but we have not gotten any since.
So what you're asking for this evening is $1,000?
That's what their board asked.
I heard you say you're a nonprofit and you are 501. Okay, entertain a motion to award the $1,000 if you're requesting. The motion is second, and all yes. Motion carries, and good luck.
Thank you, Commissioners. Kind of failed at the end, but it's all right.
Next thing on the agenda is a letter from David Vickers. And he says, I am recommending to the Lincoln County Commission that the starting salary for a deputy sheriff to be raised from $23,000 to $24,000 per year after 1 year to $25,000 upon completion of certification to $26,000 per year. I have researched other Class 6 counties and found the average starting salary to be $26,550. Also have researched surrounding counties and found the average starting salary to be $30,890. I appreciate your consideration on this matter and am requesting this become effective July the 1st, 2012, and as always, I am impressed by your decision, David Vickers, Sheriff.
Dave and I talked about this on 2 or 3 occasions. Basically, we have 2 openings, and we've had 2 openings for 9 months probably, and we just can't attract people to the position at the salary. So David, being new, he said, would you be willing to consider something? And I said, well, tell me what you got in mind. So that's what he had, what this letter here. I told him to call around and see what it was. And of course, he's got money in his budget right now that would take care of any concern. But the coming year, we would have to supplement it. Not a great deal, because the 2 positions we're talking about. But
How does that affect the rank and file they have? wouldn't that have to increase everybody else's
The
salary?
way I understood it, I had that question too. The way I understood it, of course, I see our chief deputy, he may help me.
He might.
That it did not affect that, just that first year is all we're talking about, getting into that. Then you go stay with the rank and file and the salary range that we got set there.
Yeah, it wouldn't have any impact on the rank structure.
So is it?
It's just so much more a year per rank. So regardless of what the salary is, it's that much more per rank.
What my question was though, say you got a person spent here that was hired last year at a particular salary, and you increase, you hire someone this year, they'd be hired at a higher rate than what he would be, wouldn't he? I mean,
I
basically.
don't think we would have to match.
Well, that was my question, is whether everybody else had to be bumped up on their salary with it because of that.
Well, we have one deputy that has his year in. Right now, we're $23,000 starting and then 25 after the first year. And we have one deputy that's at 25, and the other deputy is just at 23, but he just started in January. So those two would eventually take a bump.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So it really doesn't affect anybody as far as their structure right now, that you know, like say, someone that's younger than you that's in the middle, they'll not have a bump.
It wouldn't be an immediate effect. It would affect one of them once they graduate the academy, there'd be another 1,000. And it would bump the other gentleman immediately 1,000.
Yeah, the one that hired in February or whatever.
Right.
And he hasn't been here a year though.
Right.
To
but
24.
Yeah, from 23 to 24.
I think this is a good idea.
As long as the money's there, I have no problem. Do you have a motion to grant his request?
So moved.
I'll say.
Motion is second. All yes, motion carries.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is old business, Rick McCow.
Welcome, Rick and Ryan. Thank you. Heard of Ryan
On the
already.
agenda tonight.
Rick got his name on there tonight.
Yeah.
know, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about what we talked about a while ago. Are you trying to find some kind of a permanent solution where you require extra funding and things like that, or?
For maintenance?
Yeah, for the maintenance organization. I mean, are they always gonna come up, you know, I mean, I don't know how much it's gonna cost or things like that, but I just wondered if you're not looking in a direction where you might be able to do something like that.
We're not sure because we don't really know about the longevity of these things, whether.
Because it seems to me like you'll be paying more and more the farther you get away from the original.
Well, that's what the board is concerned.
Well, as long as they're addressing that, that's what.
Yeah, well, they're thinking. In fact, that's one of the reasons they asked for $5,000 to help with that.
And the other thing, before we jump on that, maybe we need to, in order to help them, start talking to Mr. Ball or somebody, maybe see if the legislative people might be able to do something through their project.
They might.
Help get started.
Yes, well, we went to the legislative, no, it's not the digest, but that.
Partnership.
And they said because this was a 501c3, they couldn't give money.
Oh, that's right, the grant that I tried to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that because,
No,
Yeah, that would be participation rates. Because they all
Maybe
go
it's something.
with the 501.
I mean,
so maybe we
it was
have.
whatever I
maybe it was
contacted
the-
Judy about that one time.
I
was
think I
just
would
kinda asking,
suggest-
and then you sent me something back with the list of all the
Things that can be
senators.
used for.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I just talked to Josh Bear, somebody,
Okay.
see what the angle is.
Thank you. Here's an update for some things you'll notice as you look at this, that a lot of it has to do with phase 4. We're moving on that. You've got an update on,
I do.
why don't you go ahead and explain the bid schedule, and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
I have a new bid schedule for you. Basically, this is our final and updated bid schedule. I mean, right now,
We hope it's the final.
we hope it's the final. I mean, we're in the final stages of getting this approved. We're, pretty much the last step before we can go ahead and start this bid process. But as of right now, we're hoping to have it approved tomorrow. Supposedly we'll get an email saying we got the green light. And based on that, these are our dates. Next Thursday, we're gonna have a special informational meeting. It's not a required meeting, but, you know, if someone is not familiar with what we've been doing in these SRF, you know, funding projects, then they can come and we can explain kind of what we've been doing and what we want done. And, you know, they can get as much information about it as possible. The next day, on the April 13th, it's a required pre-bid meeting. They have to come and they have to participate if they're interested in bidding on the project. We actually are going to see about 20 different site visits that day, and we're going to take them out and show them where these places will be, as well as explain the documents that we'd like them to work on and the specifications of all the systems. The next day will be the 16th on the next coming Monday. That's also a required pre-bid meeting. So once again, they have to show up if they're interested in bidding on our project. And I think we have around 6 to 8 site visits that day as well. Friday on May 4th, the bids are received. And then at 11 a.m., hopefully we'll have them decided on and have the new project ready to roll. So it's great.
What do bidders have to do to be qualified bidders, other than show up and go up?
There is a checklist, and they have to have liability insurance, they have to have somebody who's a class 2 installer, they have to have a couple West Virginia licenses, they have to either have already been trained by Ford and Mona, the Peak System folks, or have scheduled to be trained by them. So there's a lot of stuff that the DEP is asking us to jump through. And Ryan talked about some of the issues we've had. We've now revised the planning document for phase 4 times. And we've revised the bid specs 3 times for the DEP. And we're hoping that it's done. They did allow us to go ahead and put in the legal announcement to say that, or to actually begin the advertisement process, but we can't release the bids themselves yet. And we worked this morning actually with Prosecutor Stevens. One of the suggestions, this sort of gives you an idea of what we're up against with the DEP. They wanted us to require the bidders read certain documents, such as, and some of them made a little sense, but things like the manufacturer's specifications, the maintenance information, West Virginia laws, agency regulations. They want us to write this into the bid. Well, what we had in the bid, we said that they had to follow these. That's what we had in the spec. So it's sort of this little nitpicky kind of stuff, and the prosecutor agreed with us that a prudent person, if they were going to do something, they would follow the laws and they'd read it before they did it. So we told them that we didn't feel it was appropriate for us to have to put into the document that you have to require, we're requiring you to read subsection 2 and all this kind of stuff.
Do you require a bid bond?
Yes, these are required.
Yeah, for all 5 contracts.
And I guess my concern with all this, remember that time we had the bid bond discussion where state wanted 100% bid bond and we reduced it to 5% in order to encourage smaller companies to bid. Our worry is that as we make this whole process so legalistic, right now, what, it's a 43-page document or something?
It's crazy.
With all this stuff, it's going to discourage people who don't have lawyers from being part of this. And we'd like to see that it's not just the largest firms in the state that bid on it. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll have some smaller firms bid, and we'll go forward on it.
No concrete tanks, right?
No concrete tanks, no. The tanks will be plastic. And speaking of tanks, on the second page, it's a good segue, Charles, thank you. We had this ongoing discussion with Bill Clark about the concrete tanks. And after the last meeting, when the commission said anybody who got the bid couldn't buy any materials from Clark, we let Clark know about this. We said we'd be willing to talk to him. He said, okay. So we went out and talked to him. I don't think we resolved very much at that point.
No, of course not.
We invited him to come and see us. He came with his son and we sat down, and what we agreed to, there are 4 homes where we have the worst leaking going on. Each one of those homes has 2 tanks, so we've got 8 tanks. Clark has agreed to go into those 8 tanks, take all the dirt off to where the lids are, and then remember there were some lids that were put in the tanks that we didn't use, and those lids were crumbling some, and they were also sources of leaking. So all of those extra lids that are not used, he's going to seal permanently all those lids. And then the 2 lids on each tank that are used, he's going to put a special adapter. He's going to have it glued down and bolted down, and then put risers up to keep water from coming in there. So he's agreed to do that. He also understands that this doesn't mean that we're done with the problem, that we might find some other tanks, and we would come back and we would address those as we find them and as we need to. I think that, and then of course after he was done, he'd put the dirt back, he'd seed it, he'd dress it so that it would be back to normal. The other thing that we talked to him about that he agreed to is how important it is if he's going to be the person who's selling materials, that he sort of steps up a little more as the project's advocate, so that we don't get in the situation. Last round we had that whole thing about the pump tanks, where the bid said had to be at least a 400-gallon, and so the people who got the bid said we're just going to put in 500-gallon tanks, where the manufacturer's information said they should be 1,000-gallon tanks. Well, as the representative, we're expecting Bill, when somebody comes with that kind of an idea, to say, no, wait a second, you can't do that. You've got to use 1,000-gallon tanks. So we talked about that. He agreed that that was really important and that he would be our advocate. So even though in my heart I think these tanks still may have some problems, I don't feel like we've been able to prove anything but that they're leaking from the top. That's what all our pictures are showing. When we're looking inside of the tank, you can see the green dye, but it's all up there, it's not down here. So we like to recommend to the commission that they allow Clark to be part of phase 4 and to sell, that a bidder could buy stuff from Clark.
None of those pictures showed any leaking on the side.
They didn't, not that we could say without a shadow of a doubt. There were a couple of them that showed a little bit of green on the side, but above them, there was a lot of green. So it was hard to say that it wasn't just trickling down and catching there. I don't know. The alternative would be, I mean, we're not between a rock and a hard place. We're between a septic tank and one of the problems is that Clark is the only distributor of the peat systems in the area. We meaning the commission, could buy them directly from Board and Ammonia. And whoever got the bid would have to go to a lot of different other people to get the other components. There is some benefit in one person supplying all the materials. I think it is easier for the contractor. I think it also helps to reduce the cost then.
Well, you know, the point of what we did was to get what you got. I mean, I think it did effectively, hopefully.
And of course, about them, you do anybody else, huh?
Yes. And when we do these 4 tanks, I mean, we're going to go back again and do some more tests on them. so that if they don't, you know, if we find some problems, my expectation is, even though we didn't twist his arm and make him say that he's gonna have to figure out another thing.
We have it all in writing. He's agreed to
Yeah,
deal with it
so
on a
this
case
is-
by case
this is-
basis.
Definitely got his attention.
All right.
We did get his attention, and we got, of course, we got Ford the Moment's attention. And we're never gonna put another concrete tank in the project again, so.
So what you need is
So we-
commission to give you approval to
Allow,
conduct business with.
right, allow contractors to purchase
With Bill
materials
Clark.
from Bill Clark.
Awesome.
Got a motion and second?
Second.
Motion and second, being all yes vote to conduct into business with Bill Clark.
Thank you. The last piece of paper you've got there, this also happens when we're trying to phase out one, we're trying to start another. We probably, even when we begin the award of the bid, it's probably gonna take us a month from that May 4th to actually draw down some money. We've got about $6,000 left in phase 3. We're gonna need some of that, but not a whole lot of it. We've got some critical startup costs in phase 4. We've got to get the permits for the in-ground systems and the permits for the direct discharge systems, which is a little over $5,000. And we can't get the first drawdown from the state until the permits are approved, so we have to do that. So we have, I think, just enough money to squeak by, but we've also got a loan from the commission that you all loaned us back in March 11 for phase 3 to sort of help us make sure that we always had enough money to pay the bills. So we're hoping that you would allow us to take that loan and continue it on to phase 4, not to give us any more money, we just continue with that money that you've given us.
At some point, we'll get our money back. Maybe?
That's the thought. No, we're carrying on the books as a loan. So when we close out the books for phase 3, we'll transfer that loan into the account for phase 4, so.
I think we probably should approve that officially. So, would be a motion to grant that.
I'll second.
A motion and second, all yes, to transfer give them the ability to transfer the loan forward.
Thank you.
All yes, motion carries.
Direct discharge.
Sure, we got one.
Last but not least, we did another round of samples. And the results were good. Every single one that of the last ones that I got in phase 3 were below 10, except for one, and it was 36. So it's, I mean, it's a little bit higher than what we'd like, but it's still better than the state standards. It could be a possibility that, you know, some rocks had been stirred up underneath that would cause that to, you know, be a little bit higher than normal, or, you know, maybe even there tends to be a sort of a kind of algae that kind of comes out of the pipes a little bit after so long of being in there, and you know it's hard to get that water without scraping that algae sometimes, not purposely, but you know that could explain it. Other than that, they were all really good.
And our threshold is 200 colonies, so less than 10 is real good. Yeah, so we're doing well. Could I
When we
give,
started this thing about 3 or 4 years ago, we really looked at this data. It seemed like I always thought we'd have at least 1,000, 1,500.
It's a really good study to get this data from the original.
Yeah, I wonder what Doc's opinion on that was. That looked pretty good.
Yeah, and it really shows that, I mean, it's a lot healthier water than that new watershed now, and we know where all that water goes too, so.
People
Yeah,
still
a lot
use
of
it
it's
too.
swimming.
It was almost toxic before.
I just wanted to give you a quick update. I can't believe we're talking about the summer already. With Camp Lakeview, we want to continue doing the free Wednesdays program for kids that we did last summer. I think it'll be even more successful this summer because people know it's going to happen. We'll try to work with Tri River Transit again, have the bus bring probably just sort of a local area. We tried to do Route 10 and just didn't have any participation, but we do the Hamlin run and take kids down in the morning and bring them back in the afternoon. So tentatively, these are the 5 dates we're looking at for that. I'm hopeful that we'll have a few more people certified for lifeguards this year. In fact, we're working with the Nonviolent Offenders Program. Have a fellow there who's interested in doing that, so that would be part of his community service. I got, unfortunately, I have to recertify myself, so he'll be able to go with me, and we'll have one more person certified in the county. So, looking forward to this. Getting started. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
What about the, another subject?
Yes.
The road to Cane Lakeview, I had a complaint the other day, and I asked the DOH to work on it, so. but
Well, the last time I was out, it had been graded.
It needs rock or gravel or something.
It needs
drained or something?
It needs blacktop,
I
actually.
can't talk about that.
That would be, I mean, the thought has always been that once we start having overnight activities there, lots of overnight
What is it, 2
activities.
miles? What is it? Church.
It could be about 2 miles.
Well, it has to be tar and gravel first, or whatever they do. They don't call it tar and gravel, but I think, I found this out when I was having Sand Creek Road worked on.
Yes.
That's what we did prime.
The primers can tell us how to get this done.
And once it's on there, then supposedly they could pave it later on. It's not, it has to have that kind of a base or whatever. I don't know the reasoning behind it, that's what I was
Yeah.
told.
There are a
Loophole,
couple,
I think.
there are a couple places where it does need some better drainage. Coming off of where the Braggs live up there on the hill,
Yeah.
that's a mess. I mean, you sort of have to just hope that you can get through it.
Chip and tar.
Pardon?
Chip and tar.
Chip and tar. Chip and tar. Would it help if the Camp Development Authority came to the commission and asked their help to
Wouldn't hurt.
chip and tar?
Wouldn't hurt.
Okay, we'll do it. Next meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Good. Next thing on the agenda is the Hearts Community Center. Thomas, would you like to give an update since you were there yesterday?
I've been to the community center twice on a Wednesday since the last meeting, and it's utilized at a high rate. People appreciate it. I think that's why we made a wise move to allow the people of the Allen Creek and the Portal area to have the same benefit and community benefit. Other than that, I haven't heard anything.
We still need to get floors cleaned at both places.
Yes.
All about money. But I got your information, I just can't decide what to do. But we need to do it both places, I think. Anyway.
And the sewer project up there at the Ridgemore and Associates are working on that to get it back to where it needs to be. McCorkle Community Center, you wanna?
We got a report here from Lon or something, whether they want to speak to it or not, just if you do.
We have been a little bit busy at the center, which is a good thing. I do want to mention that on Monday, April the 16th, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, we're having an audiologist there that will be doing free hearing tests. If you have hearing aids and want to bring them, she will test those for you. If you are a candidate for hearing aids, she will assist you in trying to get those. This is totally free, though, the day that she's at the center. We got the dumpster from the garbage company delivered, and that was taken care of. We really appreciate the tables and chairs that were purchased for the center, and we use those as well as those fold-up tables for a family reunion this past weekend at the center. We've had some secret workers there doing work on the outside, making it more beautiful there, getting rid of some of the mud from the flood. The fencing is being reinstalled even this evening when we came through there, and it's looking really good. Our regular meeting is scheduled for tomorrow at 6 p.m. Everyone is invited to come. And we have a hot dog sale and a gospel sing scheduled for Saturday, April the 14th, beginning at 5 o'clock.
Doing good.
Sharon, you have anything?
Well, everything's going good at the center. Been helping some of the flood victims and the tornado victims. And we received a truck on the 21st, which that was for them. And the 29th, we received a few cleaning supplies from Family Resources. It was a small truckload full, but we appreciate it. And on the 2nd, we was invited to long-term recovery center, but we didn't get to go because it was in Wayne County. And today, we received half of a truckload of cleaning supplies from Appalachian Outreach. So if anybody knows anybody's been flooded or anything and they need cleaning supplies, we do have them. The only thing we require is, this is from Appalachian Outreach. They require a paper from FEMA with a number on it and a photo ID, so no one can come in and say, I'm such and such, even though they have a paper. And I have to keep records of that and turn it into them, as well as give them to you all. And that's all I have to say.
Next thing on the agenda is the Healthy Initiative. Just a quick update. We did weigh in on the 15th. We did have a weight loss. We had a couple that had weight gain, but I was one of those with a major weight loss. And our next weigh-in is on April the 20th, and we will have lunch. So, anybody can come and join us.
I just appreciate the effort that the elected officials and employees are making to be more healthy as far as eating habits, trying to stop smoking, and all those things. I got one guy here, he's quitting, right?
January 20th.
Yeah, he's been out there since January.
And I have a better story, and Doc can attest to my blood sugars. I've had really high blood sugars. Well, now I woke up one morning, I had 77, 97, and my highest has been at 127. So I'm eating right. And I've cut from 5 shots a day down to 1. Okay. On to new business. I need a motion to approve the bills as submitted for payment.
So moved.
Motion and second, being all yes vote, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the exoneration orders as submitted by Tracy Dempsey, assessor.
Second.
Motion and second, all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve a donation to each Crime Watch committee in the amount of $500.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, being all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve a donation to each food pantry in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
Motion and second, all yes, motion carries. Just 2 of those.
There's just 2. Now, we do have 4 Crime Watches now. Big Ugly is up and running, so we have 4. I need a motion to approve the appointments done in vacation Lincoln County Commission by Merle U. Clerk.
So moved.
Motion second, being all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the 2012-2013 Memorandum of Understanding by and between the Southwestern Regional Day Report Center and the Lincoln County Commission in the amount of $59,076.
Second.
Motion and second, all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to give authorization to the Lincoln County Democrat Executive Committee to use a large courtroom on April 14, 2012 at 6 p.m. for a Democrat County Convention.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve an inter-office budget revision for the Office of the Commission, transferring $250 from magistrate fee, management fee to other fees and taxes, transferring $800 from contract services to court costs, and transferring $2,000 from data processing, maintenance and repair to contract service, transfer $1,200 from maintenance and repair to capital outlay.
Second.
Motion second, all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve an inter-office budget revision for the other buildings as follows: transfer of $30,000 from utilities and transfer of $10,000 from maintenance and repair to $4,000 to Harts Veterans utilities, $2,500 to maintenance and repair, to Health Department utilities, $3,600 to building permit ARRA utilities, $1,000 to Harts Veterans maintenance and repair, $3,000 to McCorkle maintenance and repair, $1,500 to Community Corrections maintenance and repair, $2,600 to Health Department maintenance and repair, $4,500 to Harts Veterans Contract Service, $4,500 to McCorkle Contract Service, $3,000 to Community Corrections Contracted Services, $300 to Building Permit ARRA Contract Services, $6,500 to Industrial Park, $2,500 to Upper Mud River Shooting Range, $500 to Health Department Material Supply.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion second, being all yes vote.
What do you do with the $2,500 for the shooting range?
Well, it's already been spent, right, and that's where it's lawn mowing. So we have someone that goes up and mows the lawn.
DNR
once
quit
or
taking
twice.
care of it back when we built the range, so we have the contract.
Yes, and that's what it cost us, so. I need a motion to schedule the. Sorry.
On these that we are transferring here, these items that we're putting money into, are there already money in there and is it short, or we just didn't budget it?
No, there's money in some of these, but where we divided out, like when we did the budget last March, a year ago, we just put it in there for other buildings utilities. And you'll see that I was taking it out from $30,000 from utilities and dividing that up into different ones so that we will know exactly what we spend. If you would look at the report now, it shows that we're in the negative, but on some line items we haven't touched, and that's because we wanted to divide them up and see.
Well, and the follow-up would be, as we get ready in July to move into the new budget, would it be better in order to not have negatives in certain line items that we put a certain amount of money in each of these that we start with, so we'd already have something?
Yes, sir, and that's the way it will be set up. Okay, I need a motion to schedule the annual kids fishing tournament at the Upper Mud River Dam on June 2nd, 2012. I wasn't real sure. We usually start around 8 o'clock by people getting there, registering people, then we start at 9 or 10.
Let me just pause again, I'm sorry. My notes don't show it, I asked for a motion and second
Oh, I'm
on
sorry.
the budget.
I made the motion.
Okay.
Second.
Call for the vote, all yes, motion carried. I'm sorry.
Now, to schedule the annual kids fishing tournament at the Upper Mud River Dam on June 2nd, 2012.
So moved.
Motion second, this is a cooperative agreement with the county commission, the Sheridan Bass Club, and the Crime Watch. The Crime Watch people and the Sheridan Bass really donate that Saturday of time to get it organized and measure the fish and watch for the safety of all the kids. And we usually have over 100 kids there. So, and our theme has always been hooked on fishing, not drugs. We just try to get a little message out there that it's you know, something better to do than mess around with drugs. Okay, be all yes to do this? Motion carries.
I need a motion to transfer $48,320 from the stabilization fund to the general county fund as approved for the 2011-2012 budget.
So moved.
Been motion second, all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve and to accept the copy of the last will of Rady Bell Crow and appoint Wanda Mannon as executor.
Second.
Motion second, all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the appointment of David B. Pauley as an auxiliary deputy as requested by David Vickers Sheriff.
So moved.
With motion second, all yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the reemployment of Tammy Underwood as a part-time dispatcher at the Lincoln 911 effective April the 5th, 2012 as requested by Alan Holder, Director.
Second.
Motion second, all yes, motion carries.
So, public comments. Is anyone in the audience that's not on the agenda that would like to speak at this time?
Mr. Gregory, you called in, it was too late to get him.
You can tell, but it's looking at me on the comments, right? Well, I'm gonna give you just a little update on the park situation, or the state park situation. And then I'll give you a report from the government in exile in Howland Creek. That'll be the second part of my presentation. The state park situation, I think, is pretty much as a letter that I guess was addressed to you, Mr.
Yes.
President. Yeah.
In response to a letter I sent.
Yes. That once again, the state is, as is typically going to be the answer, says that they really don't have money allocated, nor do they have any expectation of receiving excess money that would permit them to increase the number of state parks in the state. That pretty much is generally the first answer that you're always going to get, no matter what you suggest doing. And that was basically, it was a longer letter than that, but basically that was the answer. My approach was, after your direction and speaking with the president there, was to contact the Commerce Commissioner, and he directed me to his assistant, who is Angel Moore, and asked me to meet with her and discuss the situation with her. Again, after some consultation with Charles, I went into that meeting with the idea that rather than walking in and saying, can we work on this and get this dam named a state park in 1 year or 18 months or what, or what are the steps to do that, I more or less suggested, and she agreed, that it probably would be best to try to approach it from an incremental type basis. In other words, I recalled, and I guess that state park's still there, I don't even know, but the Watersmith State Park was near in the Clarksburg or Shinston or somewhere area at one time. I guess it's still there. It began with nothing other than some picnic tables. And then at that time, and that's been whatever it is, 30 or 40 years ago, they were told that they could never become a state park, that the state didn't have the money or the resources to increase the number of parks, and they managed to get the state to approve the picnic tables as a part of the state park system installing picnic tables. Then, 6 months to a year later, they came back and they asked for playground equipment, and they got that. And eventually, they ended up at that state park, as that actually being a full-scale state park. So, based on that, knowing about that experience and how government works, what I approached her with was, okay, we understand you don't have whatever millions of dollars you think it would take to instantly make that a state park. But could we do it in an incremental, gradual fashion in which, again, we do maybe the lake and the fishing and some of that become state park type standards, maintained and supported and policed perhaps and so forth by the state park system. And if we get that done, sometimes, we all know, certainly in politics, and I think the general public, that if you can get your foot in the door, I guess is the best term to use here. If we get our foot in the door with the dam and the park system, it seems to me that then we have a way of expanding that role and, again, continuing to ask them every so often for more until we get to the point that it has the same offerings or what's reasonable. I mean, you can't have Blackwater, you can't have a waterfall if you don't have one, but that you have all of the same services, but you just gradually work them in. She liked that idea, and I also spoke briefly with the governor about it, and he said he did as well. And so she has me with a meeting, and I've got the date on my calendar, but it's sometime this month. But I think, and I do have trouble remembering his name, but I think it's Dettinger, but I will get it to you in memo form. And you're invited certainly to attend. I believe he's the Assistant State Parks Director. And she said to make that proposal and a presentation similar to what I did to her, to him, and based on what she had heard from the governor's office, she felt that we at least did have the opportunity to get the foot in the door and to start the process. So, I mean, I didn't want to get up and promise an instantaneous state park, but I think we have a chance of actually getting that done. It may take longer than we'd like, but I guess one step at a time. Baby steps are better than no steps.
Well, I think it sounds like a reasonable amount. No money's always the issue, anything you do. It just seems so many people approach me, you know, and probably everybody around, that they just like to see more activities at the Mud River Dam, particularly camping, some of those things. So, the reason that's how we ended up trying to get a park in there is that DNR really, that's just not their thing. They said they do work with parks, but they'd rather be in charge of management of wildlife than anything else. That's what they're trained to do. So.
Well, and it may well be that, particularly in the second follow-up meeting, we can look at, you mentioned campgrounds, but you know what the costs are for various phases of state park operation, and maybe you phase the cheaper ones faster with the goal of building a lodge out there or whatever we might end up with at a far later date. If a campground probably in some ways would be cheaper than many of the other offerings the state parks have. So I think that's the way I want to approach that, and I want to make sure the commission understood that that's the way I was doing it. And any suggestions you have, or I think you've all got my email address, and the public as well, certainly, if there's some idea you have that there's something that we could sell there from a historic, from a beautification, from some standpoint, let me know, because the more we lay on the table, the better. I've also spoken, and I did not include that in that memo that I sent you. I spoke with both Senator Kirkendall and Senator Stallings, who were supportive of the idea, of course, as I expected them to be. And they said they would attend meetings if we needed them to, and they would certainly push for the project. Both of them committed to that. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Now the other government in exile report is that I had a rather peculiar visit in the governor's office today, but one of the governor's assistants said to me, I guess you know that there's a new problem with the sewer project. And I said, well, I've not heard of any new problem with the sewer project. And he said, well, he was vague on it, but he knew that in a staff meeting there had been some discussion. And he thought that the problem involved a developer who didn't want the sewer. And that doesn't make any sense to me at all. You'd think any developer would want a sewer. So I did call Mayor Mullins, South Charleston, and asked him if he had any idea what, because that was all the details they gave me. And I said, ask him if he knew anything about that. He said the developer of that housing unit out there desperately wants sewage. There's another strip of stores that are wanting to locate up on the corridor. He knew that they wanted sewer. So the governor's aide who told me that said, well, let me get the details and I'll give you a call in a few days. So I will update you on if there is in fact a problem with the sewer project. But otherwise, we thought we were moving along pretty well on it too.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak at this time?
Yes.
I got 3 questions. What is the cost for the county executive committees to use the courtroom for meetings or for the conventions?
I don't think there is. Is there?
No cost?
No, you just gotta make sure you have insurance covering any damages or any liability.
Okay. And this question, I guess, is more for Mr. View. With the early voting, I know in McCorkle Community Center, they have some businesses there, and at the Hearts, Ferrellsburg Community Center. Will those businesses be open during early voting? And if so, will the voters be entering through a separate door? And does the 300-foot boundary mark still apply during early voting?
The 300-foot barrier does not apply.
During early voting?
That is correct.
How many feet is it?
There is no fee.
There is no boundary, okay.
Well, I think
So, well, that's what I wanted to clarify.
if it's the property that the building sits on.
That is correct. Where the voting is being conducted, the courthouse has rented it, leased it, or whatever. only on that property. The street, they can park on the street or whatever, with signs or whatever. The 300-foot only applies to election day,
Okay.
okay?
So what about the businesses? Will they be allowed?
That I am not sure, but I will,
remain Open and will they?
I
be
will
on
get an answer
for
on that.
entrances?
I'm not sure.
I have spoke to Secretary of State's office pertaining to that because there was a daycare
Yeah.
at the Branchland Elementary and, can't even think of his name, not Robbie, but Sam Watson had called me, wanted to know could they stay open, whatever, which there's no longer a voting precinct, but at the time when it was, said that any business can be open as long as they stayed away from the voting precinct.
But they didn't say 100 feet, 50 feet, as long as they stay away.
Just had to stay away,
They
they
didn't have
couldn't run
contact
in
with
or out or anything like
voters
that.
coming in.
Yeah, 300 foot is basically no campaign zone, what it amounts
Well,
to.
right, that's what I'm at, that's what I'm trying to clarify.
But on election day and early voting, they can remain, the business can remain open.
All right.
May I clarify one thing that maybe I was not clear on? On the early voting, there is no campaigning or whatever on the property where that's being conducted. But private property and the street, they can have signs, whatever they want to do.
Okay, sounds good. All right, a couple of meetings ago, I had been here and was asking some people at the park area, was asking about the playground equipment at the Pearlsburg Community Center. And I stopped by there about 2 weeks after that and went into the basement and I found 2 loose slides, a set of steps, and they were all sitting in about 3 to 4 inches of water. The walls and the ceilings are molded, and I didn't see any other playground equipment. But Thomas, you said you was up there twice. Did you happen to check the basement of
I
that
was not
playground
in the
equipment?
basement, no.
So, if it was there, I don't think it's there anymore. And what is there is sitting and molded, brand new, expensive equipment that could be utilized for the children of Hearts and for the people who rent the facility to use. So maybe
When it
next
looks-
time you go up there, you
When
can
it-
check on it, Thomas. Because it was dark, wet, moldy, and spiders, and I hate spiders. So I wasn't going back in there first.
Yeah, they made us, we tried to use that there, and they made us stop, because we tried to get the water stopped, never could.
There was no locks, no doors, so I don't know if it's been stolen. I don't know where it's went through. So. but
All I
somebody-
know is you said that I was
Somebody told me that, Judy, so that's why.
And
I
all
wanted
I
to ask
know
you.
is I was instructed to tell them to move it into the basement, and that's what I've done, and that's the last I know of it.
Well, who's in charge of that center?
There's a board up there.
3-member board.
Okay. Well, could you all maybe contact him
I'm
and
sure
try to
we'll
find out
follow
where
up
the
on it.
playground equipment went to?
Oh,
Because,
well, fine, I don't know, and I hope it's went down to the school, but I don't know.
I'll stop there tomorrow.
I think it'd be a good idea because it's just sitting there in that muddy nastiness.
Well, and if it's not there, we ought to have the sheriff, he's up there about once a week. anyway.
Absolutely.
I mean, have him look into it and see what he can find out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Is the county going to ask Whitney and Bowman to pay back the money that they received when they were in office?
If the prosecutor would ask us and order us to, we certainly would, but we'd have to act upon his advice. It'd be a legal issue, it'd be up to the prosecutor. So if some citizen filed a claim with the prosecutor requesting that, he'd have to respond to that. And whatever he would inform us to do, we would follow his direction.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We got our commission concerns coming up on Judy's writing there, so I guess we'll just move into those you want to. Mr. Vance.
I had the opportunity to, as Ron did, to talk with the governor, Tomlin, last week. I also got to talk with Senator Stallings and Senator Perkins. The governor was very impressed and wanted me to talk, to basically say thanks to the emergency services that in Lincoln and Logan counties, he felt responded very appropriately in the tornadoes and the flooding situations we had. And the National Guard did a really good job in Logan County and things of that nature. I think it showed me and the other people down here how concerned he is about people and how good it is to have someone from Southern West Virginia as a governor. I also felt in talking with Senators Kirkendall and Stallings that, and they echoed the same things the governor did as far as the response to the emergencies we had and things of that nature. But I feel really comfortable with that group, working with that group as far as our needs here in Lincoln County. The governor did ask me to go ahead and bring 2 of these participation grants down to the commission. They're both for LCOC, and I'll go ahead and give them to the commission now. But I'm very impressed with his concern for us and his ability in trying to address these situations. I think he's done a good job for us here, and I am really glad that to see the efficiency with which was carried out during these things that we had problems with down there. I have patients from Logan County that were down in Mud Fork and things like that, lost everything, came home and had no home, no possessions whatsoever. But they have been really, it's one of the few times I can say I've heard a lot more bragging than complaining after the emergencies happened here. So I think we all need to tip our hats to the governor and the people that, as far as coordinate the efforts and the National Guard for what they did. I think, and I know Mr. McCann has talked with the governor and visited with him on these type things also. But I can say I don't know, and having worked with several different governors, I really feel very, very comfortable with him doing what he's doing now. And I am very impressed with the response that we got during these emergencies. That's all, man.
You know, after listening to that, seeing the woods here, Lawrence and Sharon, I know your house was flooded. You've been able to pull everything back together and back on your feet. Since the last meeting, I attended the Southwestern Community Action Council training and meeting. I'm a member of that board. And at that meeting, we had a state member of the legislature come to talk about the Head Start program in the district that Southwestern covers. Southwestern has been over the Lincoln County Head Start program for several years, and it's a really efficient program that is extremely important for the children of this county and the state, the at-risk kids. And I'm just really proud of the work they do. I've worked with the county clerk, Merle Gue, about a couple different issues. One issue that came up recently was the fact that when we looked at the paper ballots that were to be sent out for absentees, he brought it to our attention that the school board race said elect only 2, when in actuality it would be 3. So after consulting the prosecuting attorney, the Secretary of State's office, we knew that we were in a major dilemma of what to do. And at that point, we were thinking that the iVotronic, the electronic voting machines, would be the same as the paper ballot, saying elect 2 instead of 3. Luckily, the assessor, Tracy Dempsey, looked at the iVotronic screenshot that was sent from the company, and the screens on the electronic machine actually said to elect 3, but the paper ballot said 2. I called and talked to Tim Leach, an attorney with the Secretary of State's office, and the easiest fix to the problem seemed to be for us to go ahead and just reprint the paper ballots and leave the electronic machines as they were. After speaking with Mr. Leach, since we do have 2 seats open for full terms and we have 1 seat for the remainder of the 2-year term, the way the state law reads, the school board candidate that would be eligible to serve, making sure that there's a seat open in that particular district, in 3rd place would take the unexpired term that we now have open. So I'm pretty sure that that's been resolved, and from my understanding, we got the new ballots in this Wednesday. Also, one of the concerns that the county clerk had was with early voting in state code, it also requires that we make sure that the precincts are secure. So one of the things that we are going to make sure happens, in the Harts Community Center, we now have cameras in place, so that would help with the security problems at that facility, but McCorkle does not. So we're going to make sure that cameras are installed and, if possible, pointed directly to the machines so that overnight they're monitored. I don't know if the county clerk would like to say anything more about those issues.
I believe you have pretty well covered it, and everything is running smoothly right now with the help of the employees here at the county. They're doing a fine job, and there's only been X amount of absentee ballots sent out. They have been contacted if they would like a new ballot to be sent stating 3, or if they want their absentee ballots to stand as is, only 2. They will contact us, so we are in real good shape there.
I have a question. Why is Tracy Dempsey a candidate for assessor, looking at the ballots for you and the county clerk?
What the screenshots are made available to anyone that would come to the county clerk's office and ask. We were having a meeting in the commission's office with the prosecuting attorney, the county clerk, myself, I'm not sure if the commission president was there, and the county administrator, and the assessor walked in, and he was working on something, a newspaper ad, I'm pretty sure, and asked for one of the screenshots for the iVotronic machine, and was looking over the iVotronic machine screenshots and looked and said, brought it to our attention that instead of saying 2, it actually says 3. The company, Casto and Harris, that programs the machines, we have the ability to purchase those screenshots, and we do. And those are made available in the county clerk's office.
So anybody from the public can just walk in on your meetings and look at things you're talking about?
That wasn't a private meeting. It was just a meeting we had. He brought the issue over to the commission office, and we were looking over the records that he had to see what we could do to try to solve the problem we faced. Okay, going on, actually, speaking of Tracy Dempsey, I met with Tracy Dempsey several times over the last few weeks in regards to the McCorkle Community Center. I've spent several days in that area, and that's one of the reasons the people of that area have asked me continually about the government day for that end of the county, is because I do a lot of reporting about the Harts Community Center and government day at these meetings. So the people of that area were coming and asking me, can we see that happen for this end of the county? So I went and asked the assessor to please consider and send us a letter so that we can, as soon as possible, get government day for that community center. Participated in a meeting with FEMA concerning a kickoff meeting for the claim that was filed about the flooding that unfortunately hit the McCorkle Community Center. Actually, earlier today, as a member of the Finance Committee for the Southwestern Community Action Council, we met to purchase new vehicles. And just so that everyone is aware, next Thursday at 5 o'clock, the Mud River Fire Department is going to have a kickoff for the new equipment they've recently purchased with the pound punchers. And that's all I have.
May I add one thing there?
Yes.
Kind of a little bit of confusion on this, nonpartisan. And I don't believe anybody in this courthouse was responsible for that. If you look at the time frame, there is a code to fill the position when a person, such as K.K. Matthews, gave up his seat. That was 2 days before the filing period ended. Nobody was notified that there would be 3. Well, the board really didn't have that much time. 2 days to notify that there would be 3 positions. But So it's nobody's fault here at the courthouse, I'll tell you that right now.
That is one of those issues that when it occurs, when you call the Secretary of State's office, you get different options, but the Secretary of State's office does not give you a clean-cut answer, this is what you need to do. So that's one of the reasons why the county clerk came over and was saying, these are the three options, and I'm trying to use the prosecuting attorney's knowledge to see which way we should go.
But what was the ballot, when it was, I guess, certified, was it certified by the former county clerk? Was it before Mr. Glue took over? Would it have been approved by...
That I'm not sure, but I would say the process started before I got here, as far as that goes. And I really don't fault no one here. It's between Casto and Harris, or whatever. They programmed the machine right, if you will, but the ballot only called for 2. But that is corrected, so there's no harm done. We're on track. Everything's the way it's supposed to be.
I'm just glad that whomever discovered it, got it corrected, and get things going, because it's definitely under control now.
Right.
I have 3 or 4 items I'll hit here real quickly. County Commission has established a Farmland Protection Board, and it has voting members. It requires that members of the County Commission or request that the County Commission member attend to provide some oversight, overview, and I do try to attend those meetings regularly. Mr. McDowell is one of the appointed members. We have, and I've reported before, been working, trying to figure out what's going to happen or how we're going to deal with minerals, particularly gas and coal, as it relates to farmland and farmland protection. We were informed on March the 20th that we're getting a little closer, seeing maybe a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but that maybe that there's a way to, in not just Lincoln County, but maybe West Virginia, southern West Virginia, to deal with this issue. It's definitely been looked at and dug into, and trying to figure out how to deal with it. March 21st, attended the Tri-River Transit Board meeting. The bus service is still expanding, doing well. They put some new routes in Boone County, and they're doing exceptionally well. They have a study going on right now in Mingo County, trying to look at maybe changing some of the routes. And we heard discussion there a while ago about our governor, and I joined, of course, Commissioner Vance and Commissioner Ramey, and anything we can do to work to support the good service that we're being provided with Governor Tomlin, we need to, because he did come down and personally review the scenes of some of the flooding, and in doing this, one of the things that Tri-River Transit was able to work out was that the Army National Guard was scheduled to maybe stay down at the Tri-River building and sleep there at night, but then they decided that if we could provide bus service, come and get them in Charleston, bring them down, they finished their job, and take them back that evening. So we were able to do that, provide a bus from Tri-River Transit for the National Guard at the time they were working down there in the Middle Fork area. Of course, Governor Tomlin was highly involved, but also Senator Manchin came down and took a tour of the whole area also the next Saturday, I believe. March 27th, attend the meeting with the EMS, Lincoln Emergency Services, or the 5-member board. Only 2 of us made it that day, and we were only able to discuss and basically go over the issues, and then followed up with a internet connection with everyone to get votes and any other discussion that's needed. But it's sometimes difficult to get people through all these different boards. March 27th, had an exit conference with our state auditor person down here, along with Mr. Yu and other elected officials and some of their staff, to go over the audit that had been conducted, and basically had some issues that needed to have correction plans formulated, and those were and accepted. And the audit basically was a good audit. We're still making some improvements and changes in some of the bookkeeping technicalities, but everything really is good, and the auditor expressed that, and we'll be getting that report soon. On the issue we talked about again, talked about the flooding, and you know, our local people, Alan Holder and those people, really did a good job during that flood time. Sometimes I, anyway, don't really know what all they are doing. They talk their own lingo, but I can see the results. I can recognize that. But I do sit in on some of the meetings, and the people in the state all certainly appreciates Alan and his staff. I did meet with Mr. Holder back on March the 29th, look at the possibility of this health net that was been down to the 911 as a tentative type plan, and they have expressed to Alan that they'd like to become a permanent fixture down at the business park. So we met and talked, and basically Alan, Lincoln EDA will come up with something and propose, and see if Lincoln County Commission would work with them in trying to establish like a double wide, I think is the way I understood it, office type building, and with a pad for the helicopter, and they want to basically let this be their location. I think they serve Huntington, Putnam, and Charleston area hospitals, so they're trying to get located here in Lincoln on a permanent type basis, but they still don't want to buy, they want to lease. And so I think they're looking at maybe a piece of property that they might be able to lease to them, and that might give some income, you know, to the EDA for operation. March the 30th, the Region 2 Planning Development Council, we basically had our meeting to talk about the EDA budget coming up for the coming year. And Region 2, we see representatives come out here. It's made up of people Lincoln, Cabell, Wayne, Mingo, Logan, and Mason counties, and it's basically a clearinghouse. What is also, you talk about, you know, people have in these counties, we've got things that we're proud of and things that are really good. And the meeting was conducted out at the Heritage Farm, and some of you I'm sure have been there, the Curry family that sponsors this. And it is a step back in time, but listen to Mr. Curry talk about why they have this farm and looking at where we have come from, where we're at today. He's talking about how resourceful people were in the Appalachian area. But one of the things that he spoke of at the meeting, at the end of the meeting, basically was talking about how Appalachian people are going to be maybe a thing in the past, and he tried to, and he did tie into how other different groups of people have sort of vanished or changed their lifestyle completely, and he's talking about how it has changed already and how it's going to continue to change, that the Appalachian of the past, you would recognize it in the Appalachian of the future. He didn't know whether that's good or bad in his opinion. As Thomas mentioned, certainly met with the FEMA people trying to work on our concerns that we have for the Corporal Center, and I think between the insurance company and FEMA, we're able to resolve those issues. The only other thing is that I have is in meeting with the FEMA people, one of the things we have is a concern from actually one of our own people, Timmy Keaton, who's the state hazard mitigation officer, had sent us an application wanting to see if Lincoln County would be interested in some type of flood mitigation grant program that we did 3 or 4 years ago in the Griffithsville area. And basically I said, yeah, I'll be glad to bring that to the commission. Basically just an application that we would call it pre-application. If we would express an interest, if we'd like for them to review the McCorkle, the areas that got hit, Griffithsville, and see if there's people who, you know, if there's money available, may want to consider having their property evaluated and bought out. So basically, I think what I'd ask is that the commission would want us to go ahead and do this application, just a 1 page or so, and make this, at least we get our name in the hat. It may happen something good, it may not, but we haven't applied for a while, so. All right, we got a motion to apply. Second, all yes. Only other thing I have is May 3rd meeting. It's a little bit early, but I will ask the commission if they would consider just canceling that meeting. If you don't, that's fine too.
That's fine. What meeting you talking about?
First meeting in May.
Yeah, that's.
It's early, but just give you time to plan on it.
Today, some people contacted Sharon, talked to me about a meeting supposed to be with the Hatfield McCoy Trail at the McCorkle Center this evening.
No, Hatfield McCoy representatives spoke to the community members of McCorkle on February 22nd at the community center, and they told everyone that they were going to be at this county commission meeting to give their top 3 choices of where the trailhead was going to be located.
I got an email from Mr. Burton, and they still haven't, basically they're down to 2. They're gonna try to do one on Route 3 and one over on the McCorkle side, is basically the latest we have. But it's definitely gonna happen, but I think the email basically said that they were almost, they partially opened Mercer County Trail, and they've been focusing down there, but we were.
Well, they have already mapped the majority of Moeller because they came this week and put a new map up at the McCorkle
Was
Community
that
Center.
right? I don't know anything else other than that. But,
That map's been there since that meeting. There's a new one posted on the website too, because there's a new map that came out, it's been sent to me. Now, Hatfield McCoy Trails also said they were going to be present at the May 5th meeting and have their listing choices for the trailheads and expected dates.
I'll get with them and see. We might be able to get them to next one, but if we don't have that first meeting, we'll have it the second one.
Okay, now there's some of us on Eli Road that own frontage on Eli Ridge, which is directly, right on the borderline of Moeller Land Company.
Right.
I own 70 acres. I own a couple of miles of frontage on Eli Ridge. I really don't care, but there's several people that border my property that say the deed lines and the deed maps are wrong. And now I have neighbors stating they own what has already been mapped by Hatfield McCoy on Eli Ridge. They're saying their deed calls for ownership of the road.
That could be a serious issue.
So there's more than one person saying they own across Eli Ridge Road, that their deed calls for across. I really don't care either way. I'd like to see a little bit of business in the neighborhood. But
Well, and that's something that I'll make sure Mr. Burton's aware of, and because he's our representative on that board. But I'm sure that not sure, but usually in the way all of our property lines are, that they're always subject to be questioned because they're not exact.
And having sat on Hatfield McCoy's board of directors for several years, we've run into this problem in other places too. So they address those as they come up and things like that. They need to be notified of it if they're not aware of it then. But I do know they're legal, they have legal people, and they also have people that they can use for surveying and things like that to make sure what those are at.
Would you like to give me maybe your phone number, and I'll have Mr. Burton call you? Would that be all right? Or give someone of you?
I can get the person that has property in question, I can get his phone.
Okay, I'd like to make sure he understands it. Or just call Jenny tomorrow and tell her,
Okay.
and we'll get Mr. Burton on.
I have one thing here. Beverly McDonald came by the office. Did she come down to your all's place? It's from the SBA, that they have set up an office at the Duval District Fire Department, that if anyone that was flooded, that needs to borrow money, they have money to issue for loans at 1.8%. And I think they're going to get an ad out in the paper, or maybe some information to the paper. But if anyone needs to talk to them, I have a fact sheet here, and you can see them. Their hours at there is from 10 to 7, Monday through Friday.
At Duval.
At Duval Fire.
Okay, make note down to the bottom of the next meeting, we reconvene on April 17th, delay the levy. This be a short meeting. We did get our budget back from the state tax approved. And 19th is regular session, and 20th is the vote machines has to be checked for early voting. So we have to have a public meeting to do that. Just a short one again. The test machine takes about an hour. They just, with the prosecutor there, and test the machine. Just
Then
make
May the
note.
1st for the...
Yeah, May the 1st for regular voting, and test the machines. All right, anything else?
I would offer a motion to adjourn.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.
And I don't know that
Transportation.
they've had a lot of
Hotels.
fundraisers either. I know, well, Angel, I'll use her for example, because she's